Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Lauren from Guthrie and Ganny, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the live recording of my sewing and dressmaking themed question and answer session from Monday the 28th of November. So lots of people have sent me in questions beforehand. Some are requesting tips or advice on completing their sewing or dressmaking projects, and some are looking for recommendations for different fabric and pattern combinations. So there's lots of inspiration and yeah, just a fun light-hearted hour of fabric and sewing chat. If you are watching back here on YouTube and you want to ask me a question that I can answer in a future session, then just leave your question in the comments below and I'll add it onto my list for another week. But thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, then remember to just hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. I'm going to switch over to the live recording now. You'll see me reading out the questions that are coming in live as well, just so that you've got some context for what I'm talking about. I hope you enjoy it and I'll see you soon. Hi everyone, thanks for joining tonight for this week's question and answer. I've got lots of interesting things to share with you tonight. Hello, hello, nice to see you. Thank you for joining everyone. I hope you're all well on this Monday night. I'm just adjusting my light slightly because I feel like it's a bit bright in my eyes. It's lovely to see you all. I've got lots of questions to share the answers with for you tonight. So lots of tips ones, advice ones, some pattern and fabric recommendations as well. So as always, if anybody's got any other questions as I'm chatting along, then please feel free to ask me. Hello, I'm watching while tackling a lot of shearing. You can do it, just keep going. You need a bit of stamina if you're doing shearing. It can take a while. Hi Lauren and everyone, that's nice. I know it's not, I think it's nice that everybody just feels like they can chat and share as well. And I've got some advice from somebody who left a comment on the recording on YouTube, who's sharing some of her ideas to answer another question that's last week as well. So I like how you guys are helping each other out too. It's really good. Where do you put the request for questions? I don't see anymore on Instagram. So I always post the little question box on my stories on a Saturday morning. So then it's there for 24 hours, of course, because it's a story. So it's there like all during Saturday and then into Sunday morning as well. If Instagram isn't showing you it, which, you know, I guess it can do sometimes, then all you need to do is just visit my profile. Just search Guthrie Ganny and visit the profile, and then you can watch if you click on the profile picture there, then you can watch the stories. So you can like volunteer to watch the stories if Instagram aren't just showing you them, and you can put your question in the box there, or you could just send me a direct message as well, that's fine. People send questions just through like our general inquiries email address as well, so sometimes if your question's a bit too long for the question box on Instagram, then you can just email us that as well. And then you can also leave a question as a comment on the YouTube recording of it too, or as a comment on the replay on Instagram too. So I try to check through, I try and remember and check in all of these places when I'm putting all of the questions together. So yeah, there's lots of different ways that you can submit a question. But yes, I do appreciate all of your questions. That's what makes the session what it is, because I'm answering all of your questions, so do keep them coming. I do have a few sort of new things to share tonight as well. So last week I was saying that the new Atelier brunette collection was due to come, and unfortunately part of it kind of got lost in the post and got sent back to France. So it's now on its way back again from France, and it should be here any day. But I do have a few of the prints to show you, so they're not online yet because I've not received all of them, but I wanted to show you anyway because they are just so nice. I'm really excited about them being finally on the website. So I do have more than this coming from the new collection, but at the moment the only ones I've got to show you are this one here, So they're all on a viscose base. This one is like a plain weave viscose, so it's got that sort of smoother finish to it. But of course it's lovely and lightweight and fluid and drapey. I think the colours are lovely for this time of year, and I think it's really nice to have a print that isn't like quite heavily floral, like it's quite contemporary and sort of modern. The print is really nice. So these kind of like circular circles and semicircles with sort of lines. So that's like a kind of greeny colour. The background is black, and then that's sort of like a warm beigey colour. So yeah, really lovely. And then in another colourway as well. So we've also got this one too. So that's like a kind of mauvey sort of purpley colour. Again, the background is black. Well, I think it looks black anyway. I don't know, they might actually class it as midnight, which I feel like is sometimes used as like an in-between description. When something is so navy, it kind of looks black, but it's not technically black. Sometimes it gets called midnight. So yeah, there is this one also. And then the next one is a viscose twill, so it's a little bit heavier, and it's got that sort of twill diagonal weave on it as well. These bolts are quite heavy. Let me just get this one up onto my shoulder. So this one is a gorgeous sort of like reddy maroon back, and then again that sort of like more kind of contemporary abstract print. So it's not floral, but just a smaller scale. Actually is like a bit reminiscent of their seed print, which is an older one. I've got a Tilly and the Buttons indigo dress in that, and it's on a viscose crepe. So this is a little bit heavier than that, but I don't know, I think the scale's just kind of reminding me of it, but there's more colours in this one, and the print that's on it. This does come in another colourway as well, and I can't actually remember what the other colourway is right now. It might be like a kind of navy as well. But yeah, I did order the other colourway of this one. So hopefully the rest of the order arrives in the next couple of days, and then we can get it online. But it is on its way. Then the other thing that I wanted to let you know about was that we've got 20% off quite a lot of our Christmas kind of stuff now. So some of it's gone already because we had some advent calendar panels left, but I feel like they've gone because I can't see any out on the shelf anymore. But we do have like Christmas fat quarter bundles. They've got 20% off. So there's some like this, and then more that are just sort of like traditional classic colours. And then we've also got the cracker packs as well. So there's two different designs of them. More kind of red traditional colours, or nice sort of like icy blue wintry colours. So you get enough to make 4 of the crackers in the packs. And so you get the ribbons, the little velvet ribbon, and they're really easy to make. It's just basically like a rectangle that you make, like a lined rectangle, and then you wrap it around these little cardboard tubes, and then you put whatever you want in them. Chocolates, you make your own paper hats, put your own jokes in them, make like a family game or something to play at the dinner table, and then obviously you can reuse them every year. So I think they're like a nice way to sort of personalise your table setting. I made them for our family Christmas meal last year, and it was quite good because I could choose what I wanted to put in everybody's cracker. Admittedly, you don't sort of get that satisfaction of the snap, like you don't really pull them open. It's more like a present that you unwrap at the dinner table, but still fun, and I think they still look nice. So yeah, there's 20% off those packs as well. And then also off of the Kylie and the Machine countdown calendar that's got all the labels in it. And then we've only got a few left of these now, the Prim Advent calendars. So they've got 20% off too. So that's got loads of things in it. So it's quite good if you like need to sort of give your sewing toolbox a bit of an overhaul and just like update lots of your sewing tools and notions. It's got a description on the back of everything that's in it, which you could just try and not look at if you didn't want to. You can see a picture of it as well on the website too if you did want to see what's inside it, or if you wanted to see a surprise. I think it looks pretty good. So there's quite a lot of things in there that I actually use already. So yeah, they are 20% off as well. I'm just going to put them, find a space to put them so that I can get access to my other fabrics later. Okay, let's just check that I haven't missed any other questions here. It's great having this to look forward to as a distraction from the football. Indeed. Hi from Cornwall. I finally managed to remember it's on a Monday and not a Sunday. Woo! Do you have any faux suede fabrics in, and do you think they are best sewn on the overlocker on the sewing machine? I'd love to see some if you have them. I don't have any faux suede, but I do have a faux leather metallic one, which I can't really get to right now just because I'm sort of hemmed in with various lights and tripods and things. I would sew it on the sewing machine for sure with a microtex needle. I love the maroon one. I know it's really nice. I'm supposed to be buying presents instead of fabric, but these fabrics are so tempting. Yeah, that's the danger. I love the top you're wearing. What is the pattern and fabric? So it's the Jennifer Lauren Gable top, and the fabric, I actually brought it over because it answers another question that someone asked. It's the wide striped ecru and navy cotton look back jersey fabric, and it's 1860 a metre. It's this one here. We did it as a kit a few years ago and I'm still wearing it. This is still the kit sample from like 2 years ago. Okay, somebody's saying you can get snaps to put in. I've kind of lost the context of what that comment was now, but sorry about that. Okay, then the other thing I want to just remind you about is I also put out a gift guide video, so it sort of summarises my gift guide ideas for this time of year. So that's a blog post and a YouTube video as well, so you can see all the things that I've put in that. So just wanted to remind you that that was there. Okay, so, and before I get into the questions that have been sent beforehand, so last week somebody said that they'd wanted to try doing some hand embroidery to like customise or personalise their clothes, which I think is a lovely idea. Sometimes people incorporate that into mending things as well. So if you've got like a hole in something, or you want to just, yeah, kind of, maybe something's getting worn out and you want to sort of liven it up a bit, then you could do it. The other idea that it would be good for as well is if you wanted to make like a Christmas jumper or top and you wanted to do some hand embroidery in it as well, then yeah, you could do it on there as well. But somebody on who rewatched the live recording on YouTube sent quite an informative response, which I thought I'd share with you, because if it's on YouTube then maybe you guys on Instagram haven't seen it. So yeah, so this was from Bren, and she said, I've done a lot of machine embroidery on garments I've made. I'm happy to answer questions if this would be helpful to anyone. As for stabilisers, the rule is if you wear it, don't tear it. Interesting. This means using a cutaway stabiliser, not a tearaway one. The stitches need support, so wash away stabiliser is not right here either, so the stabiliser has to stay in the garment. I have used a paper type of cutaway stabiliser on heavier fabric such as a denim jacket, but I will normally use a poly mesh. Poly mesh comes in different weights, but it's suitable for most fabrics. It can shrink up when pressed / ironed as it's polyester and it shrinks with heat. So steaming with the iron held above the stabiliser prior to hooping the stabiliser, not actually placing the iron on the poly mesh, help to avoid this issue and prevent or limit the possible resulting puckering. Sulky make a product called Soft and Sheer, which is a soft, flexible stabiliser that works well on lighter weight fabrics. Alternatively, an applique can be created on wash-away stabiliser and the applique hand-stitched to the garment. The designs used for this need to be free-standing lace designs available from many digitisers. Also, sewing thread won't work for machine embroiders. Most designs are digitised for 40 WT machine embroidery thread. It's getting a bit technical here, I'm not totally sure what all this means, which usually provides a lovely sheen if either rayon or polyester threads are used. I hope this helps someone. So I think it was probably maybe a bit more focused on machine embroidery, but I think some of that is really useful for hand embroidery as well. So yeah, it needs the stabilizer that you put in needs to be able to stay in there after you've done it. So the wash away one, the wash away stabilizer is not the best type. It needs to be something that's going to stay in there. And yeah, I guess that makes sense. You wouldn't want to tear it away because it might sort of weaken the stitches a bit. You know, cut it away afterwards. So hopefully that has helped if anybody wants to do any machine or other type hand embroidery on their clothes. Okay, so on to the questions that you have sent in beforehand. The first ones are all about sort of tips and advice and things people are getting stuck on. So the first one is, could you educate me more about modal, please? What is it made of? I'm assuming it's man-made fibre, but does it breathe like a natural fibre? I'm trying to avoid fabric that makes me sweat, e.g. a polyester. So modal is part of a group of type of fabrics which are all quite similar, but the names sort of can sometimes get used interchangeably, or like different names can sort of mean the same thing. So it's kind of between a natural fibre and a man-made fibre because it derives from the cellulose of beech trees. So that cellulose gets spun into fibres and then it gets woven into fabric. So it derives from a natural resource, the beech trees. But obviously it has to go through, you can't just like weave a tree, you know, you've got to put it through quite a lot of processes to get it to the stage that's a fibre that can actually be knitted or woven into fabric. So that's why it gets classed as sort of semi-man-made, because it's not totally man-made because it comes from natural fibre, but it's a bit more man-made than, I guess, other fabrics that don't go through as many processes to get them there. So the sort of other things to note about modal is that sometimes you'll see it called tencel, or it may be called tencel modal, and tencel is like a brand name that can get given and sort of added on to the modal fibre when a fabric is sold or described or whatever. But in order to get something to be called tencel, you kind of have to apply to this, I don't know how you'd like classify it. It's a company called Lensing and they own the tencel brand. So you kind of have to like go to them and be like, can we call our modal fabric tencel? And then they'll sort of like check and make sure that it complies to everything. And then they'll be like, yeah, you can call it tencel. And it's all to do with like the specific processes in terms of how it's made and how it's manufactured. So but things to note about it are that it uses a lot less water to grow the beech trees than it does to grow cotton. So it's got a bit more it's a bit more its eco credentials are a bit better. Let's leave it at that. It's hard wearing and it's breathable and it doesn't trap perspiration or odours like polyester would, for example. And it's also 50% more absorbent than cotton as well. So it's wicking, but then it doesn't hold the odours like a polyester would. So it tends to be quite silky and smooth, and it tends to be quite floppy as well. Like I would never, now all I kind of think about is someone trying to weave trees. I know that just wouldn't really work, would it? Where was I? Yeah, so it tends to be quite floppy and smooth, and it can be made into different types of fabric as well. So you can get a tencel modal jersey, you can also get tencel / modal woven fabrics like a twill, denim. So yeah, I guess you need to sort of see it as in like cotton, for example, gets woven or knitted into lots of different types of fabric. Cotton can be lots of different things, so can modal / tencel. And then viscose and rayon are kind of like in that bracket as well. But the sort of precise ways that they get manufactured and made, and how the waste products of the manufacturing process get recovered, and depending on how it's made, those waste products get sort of put back into like the loop, like they recover the water and reuse it and stuff. It's all to do with the technicalities of that, as to where all the different names come from. But I've been finding I'm getting asked about it a bit more, so it might be that I sort of make a bit of a blog post, some kind of resource that people can look at for that. Okay, the next question is, I'm still not sure of using knits or jersey. Is a cotton jersey a good place to start? So I would say, yeah, cotton jersey can be really good, because it is a little bit more stable than as I was just saying, the tencel or modal. This is a cotton jersey here. It's more like a t-shirt weight. So you would just, you'd make t-shirts or tops with it. I've made kids leggings with this one before, this type of fabric before as well. It can curl a little bit, so you can see it's kind of rolling here, and that can be a little bit like trickier to control. You just have to be aware that it's going to do that, and make sure if you put your pins in at 90 degrees to the direction it's rolling, it can help to sort of keep it open a little bit more. Probably what's even easier to work with than this is a cotton sweatshirting, because the sweatshirting is going to be a bit thicker or a bit heavier, so it doesn't tend to like curl as much, and it can be a bit easier to handle. But usually what I find is that when people work with stretch or jersey for the first time, they're always quite surprised at how easy it actually is, or it's not as hard as what they think it was going to be. So yeah, my summary of advice for you is don't be scared, you'll be fine. Okay, the next one is, what are your thoughts on stabilizing shoulder seams in knits? Is it strictly necessary? So this is talking about when you've got a seam that's over the shoulder here. Do you do something to stabilize it or help to support it? And I would say it depends on the fabric, how much it's going to affect it by, and also maybe like the design of the top as well. The sort of theory or the kind of thinking behind doing it is just so that that area doesn't stretch out. Obviously you've got gravity kind of working on that area there, and if the fabric is quite sort of floppy or like really stretchy, I guess the thinking is that might sort of stretch out, and then it might affect how your garment's hanging. There's different ways that you can stabilize it. You could either use something like this, which is a seam tape interfacing, and this is gonna stabilize it so that it doesn't stretch, it doesn't move. So you can also do something like sewing a ribbon into it as well. So when you sew the seam allowance, you just catch a ribbon in there as well, and that helps to stabilize it too. The other alternative is that you can use fram elastic, which is clear elastic, but it is quite stable. It's got very good recovery, so it means that if you put that into the seam, the seam will still stretch, but it will stabilize it too. Now, I would say, I don't know, it's one of those things that some people are going to be like, yeah, you got to do it. Other people are going to be like, oh, I've never done it before and it's been totally fine. I think probably the thinner or the lighter weight your fabric is, or if it is a tensile modal jersey knitted fabric, then I would be inclined to maybe more say it's probably better to do it just so it doesn't stretch out over time. But you know, I don't know. I don't think you're gonna, like, if you made something and you didn't do it, and then, you know, in a couple of months' time, I suspect you're probably not gonna be that bothered about it, to be honest. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, the next one is, how often do people have their sewing machines and overlockers serviced? So maybe we can do like a little poll here. How often do you get your sewing machine and overlocker serviced? I think that it's really going to depend on how much sewing you do. If you do a lot of sewing, you're sewing all the time, then maybe you want to get it done a bit more often. I don't know, maybe every like year to 18 months. Or it might be that you just want to kind of wait until there's a problem. Maybe your machine's starting to make a bit of a weird noise, or some kind of aspect of it's not working quite smoothly. Maybe it's got a needle threader that's like playing up a bit, or, you know, the tension's been a bit weird. But you know, again, I think that's going to depend on how often you're using your machine as well. The machines that we have in the studio here for the workshops, they get sort of swapped or serviced, I would say like every year to 18 months. And they obviously get quite a lot of use. And also they tend to get sort of, I feel like they kind of get like worked a little bit more. Because I think when you're using a machine that you're not sure of, then sometimes, yeah, they just take like a little bit more of a beating. So yeah, I think it's going to vary. Okay, this is what some people are saying, wait for a problem. Some people are saying never, and I sew daily. I've not had a service yet in about 3 years. Somebody else is saying once per year. I've had my Elna 50 years. Yes, serviced twice and repaired once. I've never had it done. I don't want to be without. Never had one and I sew a lot. If sewing regularly once a year, never in over 12 years. Only if/when the machine has a problem. Overlocker once a year, not a lot of sewing. Overlocker never. Sewing machine when it has a problem. Never in over 5 years. Mine was well overdue but runs a lot better since being serviced. I got my Swiss Elna in 1988, never serviced it. Just fetched mine back today from the dealer after a yearly service. No service yet, 6 years, but give it a clean myself every couple of garments. Ashamed to admit I've never had my sewing machine serviced, had it for about 4 years. I clean my machine quite thoroughly after each project. Not had a service in the 2 years I've owned it. I agree, runs better after a service. Sewing machine never serviced. I oil it occasionally. Quite varying responses there. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's a specific rule there. Okay, the next one is, how can I get hold of the Esme pattern? It's permanently out of stock. So this is for the named clothing Esme cardigan, which is this one that's just behind me here in the window. And this is a pattern that is available on our website from, sorry, I was reading a comment there and I got distracted. So this is a pattern that is available on our website as a PDF. We did used to have like the traditional paper to copy, but to be honest, because we're able to sell the PDFs, it's quite hard to store the boxes that the paper patterns come in. They take up quite a lot of space. Then it just kind of made more sense to stick with the PDF. So when you go to the listing, you can either just buy the PDF on its own and then you could print it at home if you wanted, or you can choose to buy the PDF with the A0 printouts as well. So then you'll have the files yourself. You can look at the instructions on your device or laptop at home. We can print out the instructions if you want, and then we send you the full scale A0 sheets printed out, and then you've obviously got the files as well if you wanted to get it printed out again in the future. So yeah, it is available on our website right now. We don't stock the traditional paper format anymore. But just as a side note, if there's anything on the website that is showing out of stock, we do now have that stock notifications function as well, so you can put in your email address and then be notified when it's back in stock. Okay, the next one was, do you have any buttons that match with the soft pink viscose fabric? So I have brought that over here to show you. This is the soft pink viscose fabric here. It's just a plain sort of lightweight viscose fabric. You could use it as a lining as well if you wanted to, or I would say it is pretty opaque. I don't think you can see through it, so if you did just want a plain for something as well, you could use it for that too. It's £9 a metre and it's 100% viscose. So I've got a few different buttons here. The circle shell button kind of goes with everything. They're 40p each, circle shell button. And then I've also got the white wooden button, which is 12mm, and it's just like a nice, you know, it's got, I suppose it depends what sort of look you want to go for. It's like a kind of, you know, natural wooden button. And yeah, I think it tones in quite nicely with the pink. And then the last one that I've got is another shell one, but it's the navy with leaf shell button, and it's 12mm. So this would be a little bit more of a contrast. It depends what you want to, you know, if you want you want the buttons to kind of be a feature. But yeah, that's kind of what that looks like there. So it's navy, or like a blue with a little kind of leaf design sort of etched on it. I don't know if you're really going to see that in this type of video. Can you see that? So that's my suggestions for that one. The next one is, any tips on how to stop elastic stretching out when you sew with it, e.g. the Avery leggings. I can't see that I've ever had elastic stretching out when I've sewn it. I'm kind of wondering like what's going on, and I'm actually wondering whether maybe you're sewing it in and then finding that it's too baggy and thinking it's stretched out, but maybe you've actually not stretched it enough. So when you sew elastic into the Avery leggings, you do have to stretch the elastic as you're sewing it. You have to sew it with a zigzag stitch so that the stitching can stretch as well. And yeah, you do need to stretch it as you're sewing it in, but obviously like don't pull it too much. I would say if the elastic is overstretching as you're doing that, it might be that it's not the best quality elastic. So yeah, we did the Avery leggings as a kit. I think that was this year, the beginning of this year, and yeah, nobody said that the elastic overstretched. So that's why I was thinking maybe you're sewing it in and then it's too baggy and you're thinking it's overstretched, and actually it's not stretched enough. I made my Avery leggings without the elastic, so comfy. There we go. Somebody's liking the wooden buttons, good. Okay, I'm still on the sewing machine service question. Might book a service tomorrow, a good reminder. I clean it with a range of different size watercolour paint brushes. They pick up all the fluff in the machine and they overlocker really well. Paint brushes, not paint brushes, okay. I don't own any of them. I know it's really easy to put typos in these comments. Okay, so the next question is, do you sell metal snap buttons suitable for the Kelly anorack? Indeed we do. So we did the Kelly anorack as a kit a few years ago, and we put the prim anorack snaps in them. We've got them in lots of different colours. That's like a sort of gun metal, and like a sort of kind of like a kind of pewter colour, like yeah. And then that's more of like a kind of bronzy colour, that one. This one is silver, classic silver. And then we've also got rose gold, which is quite nice. So they're 15mm, they're the anorack snaps. That's a kind of antique brass, bit of a warmer colour. And then that's like a brighter gold. So you'll need 2 packs of these as well, unfortunately, for the Kelly anoracks. It needs quite a bit. This is a little bit random, but I actually had a call with a company regarding the prim packaging, because I gave them some feedback that I was feeling like this was all quite unnecessary, all of this like plastic bubble packaging, and that it was quite unnecessary to give like a clip in here as well. So who knows how long that takes to filter through to somebody important at prim. But yeah, I just feel like quite conscious that there's like quite a lot of plastic there. And I have fed back to them that I think we should change that. Okay, somebody's saying any hints in the next kit, please. Yeah, it's quite a long wait between the kits this month, because this Wednesday is the 30th of November, so you got to wait all the way to the 7th of December. There's one of the projects has got quite a lot of components to it, including some specialised zips, and then the other one is quite a technical fabric. That's what I'm saying just now. Okay, following my success with the grommets, that's the like the little eyelets, and your hints and tips in the page hoodie, I made another one. Yeah, that's good. So good to learn a new thing. I know it's quite good when you learn these things, you realise actually, yeah, it's not that hard, and I could do it on lots of other things too. So that's good. Okay, the next question is, I use an overlocker on all my knits. Recently, despite finished off ends, the seams have started to unravel where 2 pieces cross, i.e. the underarm seam. I wonder if it's because the new seam I'm creating is cutting off the finished edge of the other one. Any tips on this? I can't say I've ever had that issue before, but what I do is, like, say, you know, I get to the bottom of a seam here and I've overlocked it. What I do is make sure that I've got a long tail on the overlocker thread, and then I get quite a sort of thick wool needle, like a bodkin style needle, and then I would thread the tail back through the seam, and that's rather than cutting it off, and then that just helps to sort of finish it off. I think if you're getting it under the arm seam, then it might be that you're not like catching enough in the overlocker, because really when you overlock it over again, it should all just kind of hold it together. I guess if it's like quite a tight garment or it's a bit of a tight spot, maybe you could just go over it with the machine. It's like a little bit of sewing machine, and a stretch stitch is a bit of extra reinforcement. Okay, somebody's saying, hello, I'm thinking of making a thick cozy marlo cardigan with the white teddy shearling fabric. Do you think this would work? I'm not sure it would, to be honest, because it's not stretchy, and the marlo's for a stretch fabric. I mean, it is quite oversized, so potentially. I think what you would probably need to do is lengthen the neckband, because the neckband gets stretched into the bodice, and you're not going to be able to do that on the teddy shearling because it's not stretchy. So you maybe have to make that adaptation. But yeah, I guess because it's so oversized, in theory, yeah, I guess you could, because it's still gonna like be all right. It doesn't stretch around you because it's baggy anyway. I always think those prim packets are a bad design. Once you have taken the back off, you lose the instructions and have no way of containing them in their original packaging. I know, it's really true. I think they do it so that you can like see it. I think that's the reasoning. That's what I got the impression of anyway, but I feel like that's kind of unnecessary because you can sort of see what it's like there. And then yeah, it would make more sense if it was like some kind of little sort of packet or like an envelope. And then yeah, you could store them in that too. Thank you, I have some ribbing already for the bands. Ah, okay, so you're combining it with ribbing. Yeah, I think it should be fine because it's so oversized anyway. Okay, the next one is, if coats or jackets feel tight across the front, above the waist but below the shoulder, what adjustments should you suggest? I don't really know much more context to the question other than that. The two things that were coming to mind are either potentially like a broad back or broad shoulder adjustment, or some kind of bust adjustment. I don't know what size your bust is, but those are two ideas to look at. Okay, the next one was on some patterns, for example, the Merchant and Mills Ottoline, where the finished garments are listed, they only show the finished size for the bust before describing the sleeve length or jacket length. Is it safe to assume the amount of ease on the bust would be the same in the waist and hips? I feel like yes, it probably would. Like maybe it's just kind of straight down, and you'd probably be able to tell that from the pattern pieces as well, like if they just look very sort of square and rectangular. I'm not sure if this is the case in Merchant and Mills, but what I have noticed sometimes in other pattern companies is that on the initial kind of, I don't know, like sizing information, or say like the back of the packet, is they'll give some of the finished garment measurements, but sometimes then within the instructions or like at the information booklet or whatever that comes with the pattern, they have more information on finished garment measurements. So as I said, I'm not totally sure if that's the case for Merchant and Mills, but worth checking on other patterns as well. You can always just check with Merchant and Mills too. I'm sure if you just emailed their like general inquiries email, they would be able to clarify that for you, but my feeling is yes, it would be safe to assume that. Okay, the next one here was, do you usually finish the edges of fabric before pre-washing to prevent fraying? Or is a minor fray okay to look past and won't affect the grain line that much? The fraying's not going to affect the grain line, it just affects how much fabric you've got. Because if it's a fabric that frays quite a lot and you don't finish off that cut edge before you pre-wash it, it's going to fray away, and then you won't have as much fabric as you did when you started. And if it shrinks as well, then you're going to have even less. So it's not really about the grain line, it's more about just protecting the fabric that you've got and preserving it. I mean, some fabrics fray more than others. Jersey, for example, doesn't fray, so I would say you don't need to do that. If it's like a looser weave woven fabric, then if I'm like being good, then I do it. But I've got to admit, sometimes I'm a bit lazy and I just bung it in, but usually I always regret that. And then I take out the machine, I'm like, man, I should have really made the effort to finish that off on the overlocker. So yeah. Okay, somebody's saying, how much of the shearling fabric would you need just to use for the collar of the Grainline Studio Thayer? I think when we put it in the kits, we put in 30 centimetres, but like half the width of the fabric, but obviously you can't buy it like that. So I think if you just bought 30 centimetres, that should be fine. Okay, the next one was, could you please show fabric suggestions for the Maker's Atelier contemporary sweatshirt? The gathered one. I wonder if it needs to be a lightweight sweatshirting fabric to achieve nice gathers. This was quite a fancy sweatshirt. I feel like a sweatshirt's not doing it justice really, because it looked more like a fancy kind of top to me. It had like, yeah, I think it might have had maybe like an elastic casing at the bottom from the pictures, and it looked quite gathered. I think what would be really nice for that is the modal loop back jersey fabric. This is it in black, but we do have it in lots of other colours as well. So it's black, loop back modal. Sorry, let me start. Black loop back jersey fabric, $17.40 a metre, and it's 95% modal and 5% elastane. So the reverse of it is like a loop back or like a French terry, so it gives it a little bit of extra weight, but it's very floppy, very fluid. It does look really nice in gathers, it's nice and stretchy, and I think it would work really well with the design of that top. It's the Maker's Atelier contemporary sweatshirt. The next one was, I'd like to make a good quality Esme cardigan in something warm. I'd like to use merino wool, but I can't find any in the UK. Could it be done in your fur lined corduroy, do you think? Now, merino wool fabric is very, very hard to find. Very, very hard. I've tried myself to find it, it's really hard. So yeah, I don't have any suggestions of where to get that in the UK. I don't think you could do it in the fur lined corduroy because the pattern says that it has to have stretch, and that doesn't have stretch, and I don't think it's oversized enough like the marlo to make it in something that is non-stretch. So what we used for the version that was in the window was the viscose blended fabric, which feels really cozy. I know it's not got wool in it, so it's not going to be as warm as wool, but it does feel really cozy. It feels nice and thick. This particular one is the Seaport Blue viscose blended knit fabric. It's $14.80 a metre. We don't have, we've got the terracotta colour in this at the moment, but we do have other colours coming on the way, some that are two-toned as well, so it's like they're double-faced, which I think would work nice as the Esme, because you kind of see the inside of the Esme, so then you would just see the reverse colour. But yeah, a lot of the colours had sold out on that, so we got what we could. I think the other version, the other fabric that would look nice for the Esme, I think this one would work quite well as well. This is the Honey Mustard Variated Rib Knit fabric. It's $19.30 a metre. It's a little bit thinner than that other one, but I think it would still look nice. It's quite floppy. It's going to be like a bit more of a swishy version of it, but I think it would still look nice. It's got a really nice texture. So yeah, sorry I've not got anything wool in that department, but I think those two options would be nice. Okay, somebody's saying, I always overlock viscose before pre-washing. Which overlocker machine would you recommend? I'm competent with a sewing machine, but I have never owned an overlocker and would like to get one. I only really have experience of using one overlocker. It's the Janome 6234XL. I've used it for years. I think it's pretty good. But I don't know a lot about all the other ones as well either, so it might be best to try and speak to like a sewing machine dealer, somebody who sells lots of different ones. We've got Frank Nutt in Kings Heath, which is our local sewing machine shop, and they sell lots of different brands of overlockers, and they're really helpful. They ship things out all over the UK as well. Okay, you can get merino wool from the fabric shop in New Zealand, and they do send to the UK. Good to know. There's lots of knitted style dresses in the shops at the moment. Any fabric suggestions? Yeah, that viscose blended knit is nice for like a sort of knitted style dress. I'm not totally sure. I'm like struggling to picture what a knitted style dress is, but maybe if you send me a picture I could be more specific next week. Made my wardrobe had some merino recently. Okay, so you can check that out too. Made my wardrobe. Okay, the next question is, could I make the Friday Pattern Company Heather blazer in a sturdyish fabric, e.g. ponte or French terry, and interfacing, or would that not be advisable? I'm not sure on this one. I don't think a French terry would work because I feel like it wouldn't have enough structure. A ponte could potentially work because ponte does tend to be a bit more stable. My only kind of qualm about using a ponte is that I don't know how well interfacing would stick to it, because quite a lot of the time ponte is synthetic, and I'm just not sure how well an interfacing would stick to that, and then it might bubble a little bit and be a bit weird. I don't know if there's any similar patterns drafted for jersey fabric. I'm not sure. There is the grainline, what is it, the grainline Morris blazer, is that what it's called? It's quite an old pattern now, but you can use ponte for that. It's a bit more like waterfally, like a bit of a bigger collar. It's not as sort of, I guess, kind of smart and structured as the Heather. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure on that one. Okay, the next one is, what fabrics are better alternatives to linen for making drapey wide leg trousers that are fitted at the waist and hips that don't bag out at the bum after sitting down? So my suggestion for this one is the Serona linen would be nice because it's got a little bit of stretch in it, so it's just got a bit more recovery. Serona's another type of fibre. I don't have a quote, can't tell you the price, it doesn't have its tag on it. But yeah, I've made the Merchant and Mills Eve trousers in this one. We did that as a kit a few summers ago, and it's really nice. It washes and wears really well. Mine still look pretty much new basically, and I've worn them loads and loads and loads. Oh, somebody's saying, I think there is a seamwork ponte jacket pattern. Okay, so check out seamwork for that. I have the same Janome overlocker and I really like it. I have a Janice sewing machine. I think maybe, do you mean a Janome one there? Which is great, so I'd happily buy a Janome overlocker. Hey June Handmade has a blazer pattern suitable for ponte. Thanks everyone, you're coming up trumps tonight with all these suggestions, that's good. Okay, so Hey June Handmade and Seamwork for the ponte blazer pattern. Okay, the next one was a pattern for an unlined coat / jacket for soft shell fabric. I think what you might need to do here is be creative and not necessarily look for a pattern that specifically suggests that fabric, but look for a style that you like and think, yeah, I could use soft shell for that. For example, there's a fibre mood molly jacket, which kind of looked vaguely sort of similar to the grainline tamarack jacket as well. It was like really quite simple. It was finished off with bias binding. If you got fancy, you could probably draft a facing for that. But I think you could even look at using a pattern that you like. If you see a pattern that you like that is lined, but then just not put the lining in it and just use because usually even if something's lined, it's still got facings. So then you could just finish them off rather than attaching them to the lining. But yeah, I think if you're looking for patterns that specifically suggest soft shell as a fabric, you might be quite limited. I think you'd be better off just looking for a style you like and then thinking like, yeah, could I sort of make the pattern work for soft shell? Okay, the next question was patterns for a shirt for a C/D or higher cup bust. So this is going to be referring to dressmakers bust size here, not your bra size, which is different. This is about measuring working out the difference between your full bust and your high bust. And if it's 2 inches, that's generally a B cup. If it's 3 inches, that's generally a C cup. If it's 4 inches, that's generally a D cup, and so on and so forth. So there's a couple of cashmerette shirt patterns, the Harrison and the Vernon shirt patterns, and cashmerette cover dressmakers cup sizes from C to H. They also do, and that's in a US, I think it's a US 12 to 32, and then they also have a B cup size range which covers US 0 to 16. Yeah. Okay, the next one is black viscose linen fabric. Sure, no probs, here it is. I actually absolutely love this fabric. This is black viscose linen fabric. It's 75 viscose and 25 linen. It's got a really lovely texture to it. It drapes a lot and it's very fluid. It's really soft because it's got a high viscose content. It does come in lots of other colourways as well. I've made the Friday Pattern Company Saguaro set in this and it was lovely. I've got a pair of trousers in the navy colourway, Saguaro navy trousers. And it's really, really nice. So it is a lovely cloth. And I've got some sad news about it. The supplier who we get this from is not going to be stocking it anymore. So we do have some in stock and we pre-ordered some to get us through next summer. But really once that is gone, it's gone, unless I can find someone else who sells the same type. There are like various types of viscose linen out there. Obviously the combination of the viscose and linen can vary. This specific combination just seems to be really nice, such a nice fabric, and I was gutted when they were like, yeah, we're not going to be, it's still like a discontinued range. I was like, what, are you being serious? But yeah, basically it's to do with the price of everything going up so much. And they've said that their supplier has put the price up so much that they can't continue to stock it anymore because they think for their business that people won't buy it. I know, I'm like worried that this is going to happen to other things as well. But anyway, that was a side note. We do have black viscose linen, there it is. Okay, the next question was wool type fabric for a wintry pair of Megan Nielsen Flint trousers for work. I've got a few suggestions here. This one is actually wool fabric. It's 100% wool. It is the Flint Grey Wool Cashmere blended fabric. Actually, it's 95% wool and 5% cashmere, so it's got a lovely, nice softness to it. You can see it's quite floppy, so I think for the full leg of the flints, you know, the quite wide leg pants, you know, they're going to be nice and kind of swishy and sort of moving around. I think they would be really smart. So that's one suggestion. The other suggestion is not a wool fabric, but I think it is, you could class it as like a wintry one, I guess, or like smart for work. We do have this in other colorways as well. It's a sort of wool alternative, I guess. It's the muted moss bamboo blended twill fabric, and it's $24.50 a metre, and it's really good. It doesn't crease either. So it's polyester and bamboo blended. It's really soft. It's got that twill weave. It's a nice thickness. It's nice and swishy. It would be perfect for a pair of trousers. It's really nice, and it does come in quite a lot of sort of classic colours that are trousery. Okay, let's see. The next one was fabric for the Nina Lee South Bank dress version, a casual and a party one. So casual, I think the cozy colours is going to work really well. It comes in lots of different colours. This one is the denim cozy colours, and it is £18 a metre, and it's got a lovely cozy fleece back. So I think that was, you know, it's going to look like a jumper dress. This one is a bit more party-ish. This one's actually on the sale, but I think it would look quite cool. So this is the navy metallic stretch jacquard fabric, and it's, I don't know the actual price. It's £18.50 a metre. I'm pretty sure it's probably got 20% off. And yeah, I would say it's a bit like a ponte sort of weight, and it's got this cool kind of animal print that's woven into the fabric with this kind of gold metallic thread. So definitely a bit more sort of party vibes there. So I think that's your fancy option. The next one is fabric for the saguaro set, humid winter sun holiday. First of all, that sounds lovely. Second, I would say the viscose linen that I just showed you the black version of. We've got lots of other colours of that one still in stock, and it makes a really lovely saguaro set. Voice of experience here, because I do have a saguaro set in that very fabric. The next one is fabric for the Avery leggings. That's the Helen's Closet Avery leggings. The fabric that we used for the kit, I got like a big batch of it specifically for the kit, and it was like the perfect fabric. But because I have to order it like in significant quantities, it's just like difficult for me to get it again. I don't know, people keep asking. I think I might need to like rethink getting it again and just work out where I would put it, because it's gonna be a lot of it. You guys would definitely need to want lots of leggings if I was to buy this fabric again, because I can't really handle like storing it. But so I'm gonna admit, I'm sorry, I don't really have like the perfect fabric for it. What you could do, but I think you might have to size up because it doesn't have quite the amount of stretch that you need for Avery's. But I have made the Megan Nielsen Virginia leggings in this before. Is the loop back jersey fabric, the modal one. I've made the Megan Nielsen Virginias. I made a couple of them for when I was pregnant, and they worked really well. So I think you could use that for the Avery's. But as I said, you'd probably need to maybe size up, because I don't think it's got quite as much stretch as what it says you need for the Avery pattern. Okay, the next one was fabric for a cocoa Breton top. So I've got this ponte here, which is stripy, which would be nice for a Breton top. The navy and white stripe ponte Roma fabric. It's $11.80 a metre, and it's 50 polyester, 45 viscose, 5% elastane. The other option would be the one that I've got on. You know, this is a Breton top, and this is, again, this is the wide striped ecru and navy cotton look back jersey, and it's $18.60 a metre. So a few options there. The next one was plain jersey, best suited for a men's t-shirt. I would say the cotton jersey that we've got is good for that. This is the Pacific Blue Basics Organic Cotton Jersey fabric. It's $13.80 a metre, but it does come in other colourways as well. So if you just searched on the website Basics Organic Cotton Jersey, you would see all the different colours that we've got. But I think that would be good for a men's t-shirt or ladies t-shirt also. And then the last one that I've got that was sent in beforehand, and then I'm going to catch up with any that are on here. So if you do have any more questions, let me know them now. Somebody was asking if they've got a boucle material with some stretch, would it be okay to make the toaster jumper with? So it depends how much stretch it's got. You can see on the back here, the toaster has like a little sort of gauge. So basically you would, I'll just show you with this little bit of fabric, you would hold this up. Let me get a bit of a straighter edge. You would hold that up on here, and then you just need to make sure that it can stretch past that little bit, like it can stretch that much, and that's how much stretch you need. So if your fabric's got that much stretch, then yes, you can. So that's just on the back of the packet there. But if you have the PDF of the toaster, it's just going to be like in the instruction book, I think. Okay, let me just check what I have missed here. Let's see. Okay, I have the Brother 734DS. Inexpensive, but I have used it every day for 2 years with no issues. What's the easiest way to line trousers that have a fly? I think what you could probably do is just, I think it would maybe depend on the style of them. I do have a pair of lined trousers that have got a fly. I think you would need to just cut out this, use the front leg and the back leg pieces, cut the lining out the same as them, and then you could just baste them together within the seam allowance so that they effectively become like one bit of fabric, and then just continue the construction from there. You could do that. There is a lined pair of trousers that I can think of. It's a Liesl & Co pattern. I can't remember the name of it, but they're like quite smart trousers, and I'm pretty sure that they've got lining in them, and I'm pretty sure they've got a fly as well. So it might be just finding a pattern that is lined would be good. Okay, the fibre mood Molly looks ideal for my question about soft shell, thank you. Yeah, that's good. I thought you might like that one, Helen. I like it too. The itch to stitch patterns are good for larger cup sizes. Good to know. What is soft shell, please? It's a fabric, it's almost like 2 layers of fabric together. So on one side you've got it's synthetic. So on one side looks, I guess, a bit like a sort of raincoat type fabric. And then in the inside it's like a fleece, so it's quite thick, it's quite spongy. Because it is synthetics, polyester, it doesn't press very well, so it can be tricky to work with. But yeah, it's basically like a fabric that you would use to make coats or jackets that are going to be water repellent. Okay, what's Emma saying? Thank you, that was my question. I have just made my first pair of flint shorts for a Christmas holiday, and I can't believe it's taken me so long to make this pattern. They are amazing. I know a lot of people love the flints. I think if you make one pair of flints, you're probably going to make more. Okay, I bought the muted moss at the weekend for trousers. It's so lovely. That sounds good. What pattern are you making? Yes, please, to the legging fabric. I live in my Averys from the kit. Make another kit, Lauren. No harm in repeating. Oh yes, more black Avery leggings required here, especially for underclothes in this cold. Mostly unheated house. Can you explain how to adjust size for less stretch? Well, if something's, I mean, it's quite subjective, because it's going to depend like by how much stretch is missing. But really, if you're using a fabric that doesn't have the right amount of stretch that's recommended for a project, if you make it, then it's going to end up smaller than what it's supposed to be. So you just need to size up, but by how much you size up, it's going to be quite a subjective thing depending on the style of the garment, how much negative ease is in it. It's really about whether the pattern's got negative ease or no ease. So negative ease is when you make something and the finished thing that you make is smaller than your actual body, and that's because the fabric is then going to stretch round your body to fit it. So then if you think about it, if you use a fabric that doesn't have enough stretch and the pattern that you're making has got negative ease, then it's not going to stretch enough to fit you, and therefore you need to make it bigger. But obviously there's various variables in that, because it depends how much negative ease it's got, depends how much stretch your fabric's actually got, depends on the style, how fitted you want it, that sort of thing. Lauren, can you tell me what a cover stitch machine does, please, and do you have one? We do have one in the studio. I basically never use it. You use it to do hems on stretchy fabric, so it's where if you've got any ready to wear clothes that are stretchy, if you have a look at the hems on them, they've probably been finished with a cover stitch machine. So it usually looks like 2 lines of stitching from like the outside of the garment, but on the back it'll look a bit like what an overlocker looks like on when you use it on a seam. So it's primarily used for hemming. Any fabric recommendations for the Q&A Superstar bra, please? I might have to add that on to next week and have a little look at what that pattern is. Yes, the Avery fabric also made iris knickers from the leftover fabric. That sounds good. What fabric would you recommend for a kilo wrap dress? And can it be shortened? My daughter is pregnant and only 4'11". It definitely can be shortened, for sure. And I would say the Tencel jersey that we've got is really good. I made one of them out of a very similar fabric when I was pregnant and it was amazing. I think you could also use the loop back jersey fabric as well for a little bit of a thicker version. I think that would be nice. Wanted in wild, not Q&A. Okay. Waves and wild. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I would still have to like look at the pattern and see what it suggested and then be more specific, so I can add that on for next week. Thank you. It's for the Mitchell. Okay, question about lining the trousers was about the Mitchell. Thank you. Liesl & Co Hollywood trousers, yeah, that's the one. Have an option for lining. See their website for a sew along, which might provide helpful guidance. Good idea. Could you use those fabrics for the Mitchell trousers? Yes, you could. For the muted moss, I shamelessly copying Hannah's The Assembly line high-waisted trousers. She was a great advert in the shop. I know they look really good, don't they? You can use a twin needle in a sewing machine to hem jersey. True. A twin needle, I am told, does the same job as a cover stitch machine. From my class today, yeah, from the outside it'll look the same. It doesn't have quite the same sort of thread situation going on underneath, because the cover stitch machine, I guess, is like a bit similar to an overlocker in that you have multiple threads, whereas if you're sewing a double needle on a sewing machine, you just have the top, you've got the top 2 threads which are doing the line of stitching, and then you've got the underneath thread. But cover stitch machines have like 3 or 4 threads in them. Okay, another hour has flown past, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have found that all really useful. Keep your questions coming and I can add them on for next week. So we've still got a few weeks left before Christmas. I think the last one will be not the Monday that's like just before Christmas, but the Monday before that. So, but yeah, we've still got a few weeks left of Instagram lives for 2022. But yeah, I'll put the replay on YouTube, put that up sometime tomorrow when my slow internet speed finally decides to load up again. And then I'll leave it here on Instagram as well if anybody wants to watch back as well. If I missed your question, I'm sorry, please just ask it again and I will add it on for next week. I haven't used a twin needle for hemming since I discovered Mariflex, yeah. Somebody's asking for sewing society hints. I did say some earlier. I'll give you more next week because then it'll be a couple of days away from the release, but I was taking the pictures of them today. I was getting really excited because they look really good and I think you're really going to like them. Okay, well, thanks for your thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.